After recent flooding in central Vietnam, many families are left without food. Tzu Chi is there to provide consolation cash. In Taiwan, we'll see how local artisans in Miaoli, Yuanli are using traditional crafts to help promote tourism in the region. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Duncan DeAeth. Thank you for joining us. Heavy flooding in mid-October in Vietnam's Quang Binh province forced over 1,000 households to evacuate their homes. Many of their homes and possessions were ruined, including their food stores of rice. Tzu Chi volunteers recently made a visit to the flooded communities on October 29th to provide some consolation cash to help the community get back on their feet again. In mid-October, heavy rains hit central Vietnam, and in Quang Binh province's Tu Yen Hoa community, over 1,000 homes faced flooding of nearly 3 meters. In their rush to evacuate, most were unable to take the rice in their homes with them.
The village committee gave me rice and I put it in my basket. I thought that the flooding wouldn't reach it, but the water has risen and ruined it.
Volunteers in the northern province of Hai Duong and those from Ho Chi Minh City both arrived at Vinh International Airport, where they were met by Taiwanese entrepreneur volunteers. Then, after a 5-hour car ride, they all reached the disaster area. The next day, at 5 in the morning, volunteers were at the distribution site, where residents were already waiting in line.
I'm very happy to receive the distribution ticket. It will give me money to purchase rice.
You can still see on the wall how high the floodwaters reached. Residents were full of hope that volunteers would arrive. Volunteers are there to ease their worries with a cash distribution.
The consolation cash will also go into local food and agriculture businesses. It will help stabilize the livelihoods of many living in the area.
These residents leave with smiles on their faces, ready to face the next chapter of their lives with a stronger spirit. In mid-October, Typhoon Haima severely devastated northern Luzon in the Philippines. Among the affected areas, Cagayan was the most damaged. Tzu Chi volunteers recently traveled from Manila to the devastated regions of Tuguegarao City's Balzain East to distribute consolation cash to the typhoon victims on the second day after surveying the disaster area. With Tzu Chi's consolation cash and care, affected residents can now rebuild their homes and get back on their feet.
Tzu Chi volunteers are bringing care and love to the typhoon victims by traveling from Manila to the northern Luzon region of the Philippines. It's one of the regions that was heavily affected by Typhoon Haima. While residents sang Tzu Chi's prayer song alongside volunteers, many burst into tears. Houses in Tuguegarao City's Balzain East have been severely destroyed by Typhoon Haima. While most of the affected residents were worried about the expense of rebuilding their homes, Tzu Chi volunteers distributed consolation cash to them on the second day after carrying out a survey of the disaster area with the assistance of local Chinese businessmen.
Because of these typhoon victims, we have the chance to carry out the act of giving. We are lucky because we have the ability to help others.
68-year-old Kulian feels blessed because she has never received such assistance from others in the aftermath of typhoons.
It is a great help to us because our home was almost destroyed by the typhoon. Though we are running our own business, we don't have enough income to repair our house.
Gui Terrain cannot believe that Tzu Chi volunteers have come here again to help him rebuild his home after Tzu Chi's medical team helped him remove the sarcoma in his leg 18 years ago.
We feel very happy because this consolation cash is quite enough for us. We have never received such subsidies from other charity groups.
With Tzu Chi's care and love, these affected residents will no longer feel sad, and now they are prepared to rebuild their homes.
I will use this money to repair my house so that I can go home soon.
Now these affected residents feel more confident to face the difficult task of rebuilding their homes after Tzu Chi brought love and hope to them.
After Hurricane Matthew violently hit Haiti, Tzu Chi has partnered with the government of Jeremy City to offer red bean flavored instant rice in 3 different locations each day. Tzu Chi volunteers recently hosted a rice distribution at a school in a remote area of the 5th Administrative Region of Jeremy City, benefiting dozens of residents from a Catholic nursing home. Here's more.
Debris can still be seen everywhere after Hurricane Matthew violently struck Haiti. This road, which leads to the 5th Administrative Region of Jeremy City, is wet and muddy, causing it to become a big challenge to cross in a vehicle. With all of these obstacles, volunteers and DaAi TV reporters have to spend 2 hours traveling to their destination.
这里原本是天主教一座安养中心，不过
Originally, this was a Catholic nursing home. However, the heavy storm and rainfall brought by Hurricane Matthew destroyed this building, causing 4 of the 36 residents to die.
These seniors who are singing a hymn are hurricane survivors. As they have nowhere to stay, they have been evacuated to a nearby school, which serves as a temporary shelter. They have also been taken care of by a nun ever since.
We normally ask the NGO in Port-au-Prince to help the residents here who live in remote regions. However, the assistance has been temporarily cut off because of Hurricane Matthew. I have to ask another NGOs for help. Now everyone can only eat some dry food we have in stock.
Fortunately, with the assistance of Tzu Chi and the local government, these hurricane survivors can have hot meals to eat, as they have been provided with red bean-flavored instant rice.
After eating the red bean-flavored instant rice, I feel like I have eaten nutritious food full of vitamins.
For these hurricane survivors, red bean-flavored instant rice offered by Tzu Chi not only fills their stomachs, but also serves as a gift which is full of love and hope.
In Pingdong, Taiwan, 86-year-old Mrs. Lee lives with her son, who suffers from illness. While caring for her son, her home's living condition fell into a poor state. After the clutter and garbage reached a point that it was affecting neighbors, a group of community volunteers decided to help the family out by cleaning up her place. This cluttered area is the bedroom of elderly Mrs. Lee. To get to the bathroom, Mrs. Lee must climb over piles of garbage bags. Her neighbors are worried about her living in these conditions.
We want to organize her place for her. You can't just leave garbage laying around. It will stink up the air.
There are fleas, mosquitoes, and cockroaches. It's already gotten to a point that it is a hazard to the quality of living for other residents in the area.
For the sake of the environment as well as Mrs. Lee's health, community volunteers as well as some soldiers in the military come to clean up her home. One resident, Mr. Ruan, who was a former care recipient, was also on site this time, paying back his love to others.
Since I received help in the past and now I have the ability to help others, that's what I want to do. I can also exercise while helping out.
It really feels good to be a volunteer. It comes down to our ability. We just do as much as we can.
Mrs. Lee is happy that the community has come together to help her out. Volunteers are there to let people know they are not alone. Today, we continue to search out traditional handicrafts and culture. Miaoli's Yuanli is one of the only places still producing handmade straw goods in Taiwan. However, the market for handmade goods struggles to keep up with the times, making the local industry dependent upon government subsidies, which can stifle creativity. Another dilemma is the lack of skilled workers willing to take up this trade, as old masters have no way of passing on this traditional craft. In Miaoli's Yuanli, almost every family is capable of being involved in this industry, though fewer and fewer remain, leaving this cultural heritage left in the hands of a precious few older artisans.
Miaoli's Yuanli, north of the Da'an Creek, is like an ordinary rural small town with more than half of the residents farming for a living. 75-year-old Grandma Cai Yuan works in a local workshop and is a well-known weaver.
I started as a child and have been doing it till now. I can do almost all these styles and items. You need to start with a good foundation to do this craft.
Each family in Miaoli's Yuanli was once involved in weaving, though now there are just a few artisans left. With their skill, they can easily replicate any design they are given.
First, we try to understand the design. And if there is a problem, we must communicate with the designer to understand the meaning of the design and help them actualize it.
Their workshop can't be replaced by machines, but it still needs to achieve financial support for expenses through government subsidies or volume production of things like hats and mats and cheap everyday items.
We are still making practical things. We can't get people to work and then not give them any pay.
This type of triangular brush weaving can only be found in Miaoli's Yuanli. It is especially fragrant and of particularly good quality. Previously, the products made here were quite popular, and even exports led to sizable amount of foreign exchange. However, after the appearance of plastic goods, the market eventually shrunk, with few people planting this crop, with the workshops trying to preserve this handicraft.
Formerly in Yuanli Township, there were 40 or 50 hectares planted, but now they plant a lot less, so our community found this area to plant it.
But for these woven products to find a new market, there needs to be constant innovation and thoughts of ways to enhance the level of technology, along with increased cultural value.
This bag, we can spread it out, and it can actually accommodate a lot of things. Yes, there's a lot of things here that aren't for sale.
Hanging inside this warehouse are lots of items that are not for sale, which exude a unique aroma. These are artworks or collaborations with designers and samples. Others have been sent to competitions.
Muji had a handicraft contest, and you won a bronze medal. We also participated in the Berlin Craft Fair in Germany. And this item is quite creative, with the stomach area being quite fine, and the designer choosing a style which gives off the impression of abdominal muscles.
I think the younger generation should join together to promote this excellent handicraft, as current production now simply lacks human feeling.
One of the biggest problems with traditional handicrafts is the lack of innovative marketing and creativity. Without making up for the deficiencies in these two major areas, many fear that there will be a lack of young people wanting to take up this study.
Now our biggest problem is passing down this heritage, because this work requires one to bend over, leaving the waist to feel sore with back pain, as young people who want to do the same work may feel it is very monotonous.
After sitting all day to do this hard work, many of these artisans only wish is that they can find someone to pass on their handicraft. For the moment, our national heritage and treasure simply lay in their hands, as this once proud industry is on the verge of fading away.
In our next piece on influential vegetarians, we will meet a few musicians whose decision to go vegetarian has improved both their health and their musical careers. We'll hear how vegetarian diets can create healthier bodies and even improve temperament. Lightly playing the castanets and skillfully keeping rhythm with the drum is Chen Zhihui, who is the percussion director of Taiwan's National Symphony Orchestra. Mr. Chen gives off an air of refinement, but most would never guess that he embarked on his life of music because of troubles as a young child.
Actually, I was a very naughty child, very troublesome. My mother was a teacher, was also taking care of 4 children, so there were many times that she wouldn't know where we were. We lived in the countryside around Pingdong. Hearing us practicing music was a good way for her to know where we were and what we were doing.
Mr. Chun's relationship with his mother was always good. Over his lifetime, his eating habits have also been influenced by his mother. 10 years ago, Mr. Chun began eating vegetarian like his mother. Together, they research their own recipes and even look into medical reports. Over time, Mr. Chun's physical health has improved, and his temperament has also changed.
For a time, my mom came up to Taipei. Of course, she wasn't used to the food here, so I accompanied her to eat vegetarian. That was when I started looking into vegetarianism. After cutting out meat, 10 years went by. Over the past decade or so, we have barely needed our national health insurance. Another thing is that I was very demanding and strict in class to my students. I think they would say that my temperament has gotten much better since going vegetarian.
Spending years practicing offstage for a few minutes of performance on stage. There is no better expression to describe the life of a musician. This is 42-year-old Liu Yuzi, the percussion director for the Dream Lotus Symphony Orchestra. When preparing for a performance, Liu requires a lot of time to rehearse. She also spends time as an assistant professor at the National Taiwan University of Arts. To be at her best, she requires good physical health and lots of concentration.
Although it may look like my body is robust, actually my health was not so good. I often got colds and my immune system has some serious issues. I slowly started eating vegetarian, and I guess because I decreased the toxins in my diet, my condition improved and gradually became more stable.
It was when Miss Liu became pregnant 8 years ago that her bodily discomfort led her to change her eating habits. After eating lighter meals, her feeling improved and she has encouraged her family and friends to go vegetarian. Now she uses her health to enjoy life and bring music and positivity to the world. The Penghu Jingse Hall held a New Shoots Scholarship ceremony honoring 30 students ranging from elementary school to college age with scholarship awards. These students also brought their coin banks with them, and some put on volunteer vests to welcome everyone to the venue. Let's take a look.
The scholarship ceremony begins at 9 o'clock, but they arrived at 7 a.m. with their coin banks. They also put on the volunteer vest to greet everyone at the front door. Wang Mingyi, who studies at National Penghu University of Science and Technology, is also a Tzu Chi Care recipient, and he feels grateful to receive the New Shoot Scholarship.
I'm grateful because my family isn't well off. The scholarship will help me with daily expenses because it's not a small amount.
Students from poor families can also have different futures if they are loved. Zheng Youchang is raised by his grandmother. He feels lucky that he is loved by this group of Tzu Chi grandmas.
能考上高雄餐旅学院。
I'm studying at National Kaohsiung University of Hospitality and Tourism. After I graduate, I'll have a chance to study at the Le Cordon Bleu overseas. After I finish, I will return to Penghu and make Penghu famous with local delicacies.
The New Shoot Scholarship is awarded to 30 students. The ceremony is simple, but it means a lot to these students. The Penghu County Commissioner also came to bless these students.
Tzu Chi does all this work to extend love and compassion to society. I fully respect them, and I'm also touched.
In the scholarship ceremony, there is also a play based upon a real-life story, helping audiences witness the power of love.
Fourth grader Pan Nian-yi from Pingdong, Taiwan, was born prematurely and diagnosed with cerebral palsy at birth. Despite her disability, she is a conscientious student who always strives to do her best at school, a testament that anything is possible if you set your heart and mind to it. Here's more on her story.
Pan Nian-yi happily sings the song Happy Face. Since Nian-yi was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at birth, Nian-yi's mother tries very hard to give her a normal, happy childhood.
If she did not learn to crawl, her legs will begin to atrophy. Once it starts to atrophy, the chance of her walking in the future are slim at best. She is still young. She doesn't know what is going on. When she is older, I am afraid that one day she will blame me for what happened to her.
Born prematurely, Nian-yi is unlike children her age. The mother-daughter pair also tries to make the best out of every difficult situation.
You are getting taller and taller. In a few years, mommy won't be able to lift you up anymore. You will have to rely on yourself.
So I have to work harder and learn to walk soon.
Currently, Nianyi still relies on the help of her mother to get around. Knowing the importance of studying, Nianyi always works hard and gives it her all.
She has a knack for languages. She has no difficulty constructing a sentence. She is never shy to express herself.
Always willing to get involved and communicate her thoughts with the teacher, Nianyi conquers one obstacle at a time with the help of her peers.
Actually, Nianyi tries very hard and so do we. We hope that she will feel like she is one of us. We want her to know that everyone cares for her and we are trying our best to take care of her. Nianyi is also a very conscientious student. She is truly an angel sent down from heaven.
Never giving up on learning, Nianyi hopes to rely on herself in the future to ease her mother's worries and burden.
Learning music is often a distant dream for disadvantaged children who live in rural communities. However, at Pingdong's Gaoshu Sinan Elementary School, staff is helping these students' dreams come true, as school principal Chen Shuhui reached out to Kaohsiung Logos Church minister Liu Zhiru to bring music to these children. This minister not only provided violins for these children, but also visits the school 3 times a week for music lessons, allowing every child the opportunity to study music to the best of their ability.
Without a designated music classroom, these chairs are simply set out in the hallway, creating an impromptu place to practice music. Most of the children here are from single-parent families, with some also having learning disabilities. The principal of the school hoped that music could change them as he sought out help from Minister Liu Zhiru.
He first provided our school with 80 violins to let our kids practice 3 times a week for 2.5 hours. He also brought 3 employees of the church to come here and teach our children how to play violin.
With violins but no music stands, the sheet music was simply taped to the back of other students. And even without chairs, some stood while others sat on the ground. This unusual style of instruction went on for a year and a half before these children were able to go on stage and perform.
Playing the violin gave me confidence.
Because my mother is in Taiwan, I wanted to perform a song for her to hear and give her a surprise.
At this school, some 60 students are performing on stage, as his principal said that everyone in this group is important. Even one student with learning disabilities, Yang Bolin, working hard to study the music.
I want my family to see me doing a good job performing on stage.
I believe that as long as we persist, the opportunities for these children to develop is infinite. We just need to give them a chance.
The love of this minister is giving these children an opportunity to study music and broaden their vision, along with broadening their potential and allowing them to achieve their dreams.
After a recent TEMA clinic for an indigenous community on Seabird Island in Canada, Tzu Chi received a lot of positive feedback. As promised, TEMA volunteers recently returned for some follow-up visits to check on residents. That's all the time we have for today. We'll leave you with these images, and we hope to see you again next time. Goodbye.